Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence.
Welcome back. I'm Jordan Yevez, and today's episode is not conspiracy-based, but based upon the American aspect of the title presented each and every week, as we remember the tragedy that took the lives of many American citizens on September 11, 2001, 20 years ago. On September 11, 2001, 4 separate aircrafts were hijacked by a group of 19 extremist militants associated with the group Al-Qaeda. Those 4 flights were then used to carry out attacks on the United States, costing a total of almost 3,000 American lives. The first of 4 planes used on the September 11 attacks was American Airlines Flight 11 on its way to Los Angeles. At around 8:46, Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and the impact alone killed hundreds of people and left many other people trapped on the floors above, giving them little to no chance of escape, sealing their fate. It is believed that the plane was carrying around 20,000 pounds of jet fuel upon impact and hit around the 80th floor of the tower. As soon as the plane hit, many onlookers and news cameras fixed their sights upon the building standing so tall above them. Many had thought that the collision was a horrific accident and that nothing more were to come of this. They were wrong, all of them, because in 17 minutes, another flight was going to hit. United Airlines Flight 175 had also taken off earlier that same day from Boston, carrying a total of 56 passengers, 9 crew members, and 5 hijackers. At around 9:03 a.m., Flight 175 had struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center and exploded upon impact. It is believed to have taken place around the 60th floor. The explosion from the impact caused large framing debris to rain down upon the city below, possibly crushing bystanders on the street, posing a greater threat to those watching. All Americans who had become aware of the attacks in that moment most likely knew that something was not right. They most likely would have known that America and its people were under attack, in great danger, with unforeseeable outcomes. Of course, included in the American people was the president himself, George W. Bush. Many of these events may be easy to speak of and understand from today's perspective in our world, but it is most definitely not easy to take the last calls of those from that day lightly. So in order to give you an idea of what the people went through and create a more real lasting effect, here are some audio recordings of phone calls that people placed on what may have been their last day. The following clips are either from airplanes, buildings, or streets. Audio clips so profound and so touching that just highlight how frail and special human life can really be.
My name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 in the back. The cockpit's not answering. Somebody stabbed in business class. And I think there's mace that we can't breathe. I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked.
Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, it's not looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them.
United 93, have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yes,
Down?
somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
shot at me. I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die. Liv, say your prayers. We're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor. I'm gonna die.
President W. Bush was visiting Emma E. Booker Elementary School at the time of the attacks. The second grade class was practicing their reading skills for Mr. Bush when White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card informed the president of the tower attacks, simply saying, "A second plane has hit the tower. America is under attack." Meanwhile, American Airlines Flight 77 made its way from Virginia to the United States Pentagon, carrying 58 passengers, 5 of them hijackers, and 6 crew members. Flight 77 was flown into the southwest side of the Pentagon at 9:37, killing all the people on board and the people in that part of the Pentagon, for a total of around 125 individual deaths. It's by 9:45 a.m. on September 11th that United States airspace is closed for operation and all aircraft are instructed to land at the nearest possible airport available. Everything was falling apart, and everyone was trying their best to keep some sort of grip on the situation playing out around them. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower of the World Trade Center had collapsed.
Something's coming out.
See that? Oh my God, the whole building is Yep. Yeah, whole top floor.
I don't know. God! Oh my God, look at that explosion.
All eyes looked towards the sky. It was the most surreal scene I have ever seen. I cannot describe what took place. The building literally just like as if it was in slow motion.
Look at all that explosion going up. The whole downtown is.
The fourth and final of the hijacked airliners was United Airlines Flight 93. This flight carried 37 passengers, 4 of them hijackers, and 7 crew members. This flight never reached where it was intended to go, as the passengers on the plane resisted and fought the hijackers, causing it to crash southeast of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. It is believed that Flight 93 was on its way to the Capitol building or the White House, which would have cost so many more American lives, but thanks to the brave sacrifice made by the passengers on board, no one except those on the aircraft were killed. They prevented an even larger tragedy. Following the crash of Flight 93 in Pennsylvania at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed due to the impact of Flight 11. Many more lives were lost, and debris filled the streets of Manhattan. A tsunami of smoke erupted, and the people below were left with only one option: to run.
I saw a group of people actually holding hands and praying. As I stand on the Manhattan Bridge, which is closed, it is open to pedestrian traffic. Some people are working across, but there's just no way for them to. As I look down, something is, I can't. It looks like that the building is going. Is that the building going down? Is that the second building of the World Trade Center going down?
Yes, that is the second. That is the second tower. It's the second tower.
It's a huge that came out of the middle of the building, and then the building just disappeared into the smoke.
Is this the second building that has gone down? It came out like a plume of smoke, like a banana unpeeling, plumes of smoke coming out, and then absolutely nothing. And now, where there were 2 huge buildings, 2 huge towers, there is now.
When search and rescue operations were put into effect, many knew that there was not going to be many survivors to find, but many did hope and did find some people alive in the wreckage. Unfortunately, after all alive was found, it was time to begin searching for those who had perished. Fires at the site of the towers had burned for many days afterwards, and first responders wrote their names and numbers on their own arm just in case they were swallowed by debris or killed in a quick mishap, highlighting just how dangerous the wreckage was and what sacrifices firefighters and police officers were willing to make to find victims. It was after these events that America was left with few choices: to rescue, rebuild, restore, and retaliate. President Bush was everywhere that day due to security concerns, but once arriving back at the Oval Office, he gave a speech on the tragedy that had unfolded. Here are some excerpts from that speech.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. Tonight I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me.
September 11, 2001 will always be remembered as a tragic day in American history, and it must be made a point that it will never be forgotten. The men and women who lost their lives in the planes, buildings, and streets must not be disregarded, for they are important to the story of September 11 and the results of violent acts that must stay remembered. The first responders, search crews, and cleanup who served and risked their lives to save others must never be taken lightly and must never be forgotten, for they helped save American lives while risking their own. True acts of love, true acts of sacrifice for all those we are surrounded by, known as us, the American people. Let September 11 be a day of remembrance, observance, and reflection to us and the world, for we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.